Of 1768, the vessels promised by DeBar, and you are living on former DeBar lands now, to transport us away forever from Castle Frederick and Fort Edward, set sail with a huge number of Acadian families and a herd of livestock. The Avon River was calm, and the sun shone more brightly than any day that I could remember. As we approached Grand Pré, on the port side of the ship, a pink and white cloud of apple blossoms hovered over the landscape. The farms once owned by our relatives and friends had long since fallen into the hands of the New England planters, who were now working diligently to cultivate a land that had once felt the plows of an Acadian community. Strangely, it no longer provoked a surge of melancholy in me, for we had our sights on another place, one that was new to us and one where hope and happiness would reign. Even the Bay of Fundy was unusually peaceful that day, reminding us of the parting of the sea in the book of Exodus. On this day, though, there was no Pharaoh's army in pursuit of us, and the excitement we were feeling was joy and expectations. By nightfall, our ship had anchored in Beaubassin. The captain rowed shore to inform the British authorities at Fort Cumberland of our arrival. Some of the Acadian families on board were to venture on by sea with the captain at the helm to DeBar's lands in Manuti, which is in Cumberland County. The rest of us waited patiently while the Major's agents, who had accompanied us on the trip, mapped out our land directions for us to follow into the Memramcook River Valley. By morning, all the families in our group had disembarked and were organizing their belongings and herding the cattle for our day's journey across the Tintamarre salt marshes. We Acadians were energized by the prospect of reaching the Memramcook River by sundown. With each step we took on our day's journey, we felt the cool breeze of freedom penetrating our bodies and filling our spirits with sublime expectation. This was a day I had longed for my entire life. No British authority watching over my every move, an independence that was never afforded us because we were Acadian, and a homeland that only we were responsible for. As we walked north over the marshes, where dikes still embroidered the landscape, we purged our souls, driving out the suffering and hardships we had been forced to endure for most of our lives. Native people met us along the way and welcomed us to the land of their fathers. We shared our food with them and requested they accompany us on our journey. They guide us across miles and miles of marshes and dikelands, only departing from us when we reached the east shore of the Memramcook River. There my people stood fixed on the spot, visualizing what their lives would be like once they had crossed the river. I could imagine how joyful Moses must have been when he first caught sight of the River Jordan. God, however, was affording me something that Moses did not experience. I would cross the Jordan to the Promised Land with my people, and we would be permitted to settle there until the end of my days. On the eve of our deliverance, we built huge bonfires that lit the summer sky with flames and sparks that seemed to reach the stars. We sang the ancient songs and we played music for our dancing. Even the elders joined in. Looking around, I saw a sea of young faces filled with hope. It was their time to begin a new life, nurture their children, and create a bright future for their descendants. Tomorrow would be the dawning of a new day, une belle époque. When the sun rose on the following day, we gathered to pray by the river. I recounted the story of the children of Israel entering the land of Canaan by crossing the River Jordan. They cheered when I declared that, unlike Moses, I was being allowed by the Lord to enter the Promised Land with my family and friends. the Acadians gathered on the eastern side of Memramcook River. They began to chant my name, PIAU', PIAU', PIAU'. And as the closing, we're not quite sure when PIAU' died, by the way. There was a story that I heard by one of the German settlers that came here to Memramcook that were called Steve. How they're called Steves. And they said that it was a venerable old gentleman named PIAU', Bellibo, that taught them how to tap maple trees for maple syrup. And that's one of the stories I heard when I was doing my research. But I think he spent his last days in Belleville Village because that's where Jos PIAU', his son, and I guess the house is still there. Ned Belleville used to go to the orchards, and the foundation is there in the house, I think. I'm not quite certain. But he used to kiss the stones on the foundation. So PIAU' was speaking in 1806, and he's 106 or 100. Here I sit in my son's apple orchard, surprise, overlooking the mighty Petitcodiac River, comfortable beneath the blossoms, in a birch chair surrounded by my descendants, who have gathered to celebrate my 100 years of life. My son is now the patriarch of Belleville Village, and I am my people's living ancestor. Soon I will join the ancient Acadians, the pantheon of those who, by the grace of God, created Acadia at great cost to themselves, so we could live here in peace. The new generation does not remember the deportation, but the elders will never allow them to forget the sacrifices of those who have gone before. I longingly look out at the Bay of Fundy, imagining a return to Melanson Village, wondering whether someone has resurrected my homeland from the ashes of time. It is now time to close my eyes and sleep. Perhaps I will have visitors.